This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, to introduce myself Ravinder. I'm working as a SQL DBA last 14 years. I'm working on cloud technologies like Azure and AWS since last 7 years. I do work on MongoDB and Postgres as well, along with my SQL profile. I do train on the MongoDB along with the Azure SQL, in fact. So yeah, little introduction about myself is that. So we're going to talk about what are the importance, things you need to learn out of this is like, why the cloud technologies are important to learn. What are the major benefits people are getting to move to the cloud, and what are the like cost effective solutions that we are going to get if we move to the cloud. What are the cloud different deployment models we do have, and what are the categories we do have in the cloud. So it is most of informative. We're not going to get into the technical side of anything today, especially try to understand just it is information which is really important, why the cloud is cost effective, and it definitely is a solution for the all the upcoming businesses. You'll understand out of this after today's class. So first we'll talk about if someone maintain on-prem data centers, what are the challenges people are facing it if they are maintaining their own data centers. The problems that they are facing nowadays are, we're going to spend good time on this one first in the first slide. So first thing is, if you want to deploy your own data center, you need to have dedicated space somewhere which is secure against the natural calamities, and you definitely have to do the preliminary investigation about that place where that is safe against any unforeseen situations like earthquake and floods, and any issues that is nearby political issues. They do a lot of inquiries there before they deploy anyway. So you don't just sit beside the server and work, right? You deploy your data center somewhere, you operate from somewhere. You need to have proper internet connectivity between your operation center and your data center all the time. So you cannot go with one provider, you have to go with the multiple providers. In case of one provider goes down because of the fiber cut, you need to have all the other alternative solution to run your business. So you need to buy both of them, in fact, all the time. Software licensing, to run any business we need different type of softwares. Some are licensed, some are open source. Okay, some front end, middleware, back end, and you need equivalent technicians to support all these areas. So you have to recruit, you have to maintain the employees and everything, right? So it is not easy thing, in fact, to maintain on their own. Extremely redundant power source. In case of power loss to your data center, you cannot go to the client say that my data center lost the power in that area. I cannot serve the data at the moment. You cannot say that. Business is very competitive nowadays. If you are not doing best in your business, you definitely have a competitor where you can take out all your business to that competitor. So you need to have diesel generators, you need to have enough UPS system to run your servers, even though there is a power outage in your data center. That must be arranged properly. Dust-free controlled environment within the data centers. So servers will run 24 by 7, 365 days. When it is not maintained well within the data center area, without dust-free, when you reboot the machine, it won't reboot because of the dust accumulated within that CPU fan and the RAM. You have to clean up and start. So all that is something you definitely have to take care before things goes bad. Efficient cooling system and ventilation system. So you need to have proper cooling because all the servers running 24 by 7, they do definitely generate a lot of heat around. So if the temperature goes beyond certain level, the circuits will break. So you have to definitely maintain certain cooling, roughly 16 to 17 degrees they do maintain within the data centers. That must be maintained. If not, the circuits can break and the server can crash. It is possible. High physical security, yes, you should not allow anyone who is not authorized to enter a data center. Maybe something goes wrong, then someone need to authorize and they have to show up that letters and all that to enter into data center to repair something. So it has to be protected because you will have enough of competitors to damage your reputation. They can do anything. So that must be verified, and then you need to allow the people. And again, you cannot just rely on one data center at any point of time, any case, because you inquired, you did all your preliminary investigation about the area where you're deploying data center is safe, but still you cannot trust one data center. If it goes down for any reason, you're out of business. Without data, no business will operate. In fact, should be always protected with a DR data center. So whatever we are discussing, all these points you have to maintain in the DR data center also, right? And you need to have proper network bandwidth between the primary and secondary, so that you can push all your data what you are generating on day-to-day business, right? So all this together makes very expensive solution for anyone to manage their data center. So again, all new businesses also, they are not interested to really invest in the beginning itself all of the money on the data center. Cloud is giving a lot of ready-made tools and solutions for us, and you don't have to invest too much money also, like on-prem, to set up, to hire too many people. So I'm going to talk about what are the great advantages we are going to get by implementing the cloud, how we can avoid all these points, in fact, right? So managed services, actually, let's go little before the cloud era, before cloud was evolved. So there used to be managed services equivalent to cloud. These people are equivalent to cloud, but their existence, still these people exist in the market. So these people are like cloud providers only, exactly. But their existence is very limited. They don't have globalized services to the customers. In fact, they do have their own, data centers where they directly, have the entire ownership on the support model also. Cloud does not do that what managed services will do, but they're more than the cloud. In fact, managed services, what they do, you have your business and you need some IT server support. So what you go to them, I need these many servers for running my business. I'm trying to run this kind of business. I need my applications to run up and running. So they'll create the servers, they will keep your servers under isolated networks, they'll take the backup, they'll maintain the uptime of the server, they do take care of every end to end of your server. Only you have to use the services from them, what you wanted from you for your business. So data side, they do maintain end to end upgradations, migrations, and keeping everything up to date and maintaining all the security compliance. They do take care everything. The problem with these people is very limited small vendors. They cannot spam across the globe with their infrastructure. That's why they are actually vanishing slowly, because cloud is everywhere. No one is actually sticking their business to one region. People are globalizing their business. When they are globalizing, these people cannot serve the purpose, in fact. So this used to be before the cloud, what I'm talking about. Before cloud, these people used to have the good market, but now it is gone actually for them because of the globalized markets. Virtualization is one of the considerable point. Why did I have to keep this virtualization when I'm talking about cloud? So people are trying to move to the like any new technology that can save the money, right? So that is where the business tendencies are going, always happens. So before cloud evolved, what used to before virtualization evolved, what used to be there? You stand up a big machine for a single application, and that single server can be capable of enough to manage that application load during the peak hours. So okay, you configured well that server to take care of that peak hours load, but what about the non-peak hours? The server's resources are idle. You paid, invested, and you are maintaining it, but you're not taking the maximum out of the server, right? When it is standalone, that's where the virtualization actually came into popularity, because when you can buy a big server, on top of it you can run multiple tiny machines, and then you can use for this underlying resource on a shared basis. Maybe one server is not using, other one is using for maintenance activities. So you are effectively utilizing the underlying hardware resources all the time. You're engaging your resources, what you invested, you're getting most of it. That's why every 99% whatever you see in the real time, it is on-prem data center, it is a cloud, whatsoever, everything is virtualized. Everything is a VM based. You don't see the physical servers anywhere. Maybe you might find very few, like you wanted to build a cluster, right? Windows cluster. There you need RDMs, physical drives. VMD case does not work for the cluster. You have to definitely go to the always on. So we're going to talk about that kind of limitation. So, but physical server concept is over almost. No one is using it. Maybe 1% could be the people are still using it because of that legacy technologies, but still cluster is outdated. Now everyone is going with the always on because of the different physical locations where they can maintain the data. Cluster is one location. It just flipped the server OS, in fact, in case of one is down, in fact, right? So that technology is something does not be supported in the cloud. It will support the always on, because RDM, the cluster need RDM. So everything is virtualized. When it is virtualized, the RDM, the virtual disk does not scale with the cluster, in fact, because it has shared disks. In fact, it will kill the IO. So you have to go to the always on for better IO capacity. Fine, anyway, I'll pick up that point when we come to the clustering discussions, always on discussions, why we need to go with always on in the cloud than clustering. We'll talk about that limitations anyway. Okay, let's come to the cloud. So this is a little history of the before the cloud. What you need to understand, why actually the cloud, we're going to talk about from this slide anyway. But what is cloud? In fact, cloud, implementation has many definitions on the internet. So but anyway, ultimately all will lead to this meaning itself. So cloud computing is the use of remote servers on the internet to store, manage, process the data rather than keeping in your local server. So you are giving your data to third party. In fact, you are maintaining all your data to third party is maintaining everything for you, like underlying infrastructure. You don't have to worry about servers uptime. You don't have to worry about data security. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about your data center, the DRs and all that. In fact, so ventilations and physical security, nothing. You just deploy it and operate from there. So you are trusting someone and keeping your data in third party systems and operating from there. In fact, it's a remote server. It's not your server, someone else's server. You're leasing it and using it for a while. And cloud computing is a delivery of on-demand computing resources over the internet on pay-per-use basis. So you might use server for a while, not all the days, all the years, kind of. You need a server for maybe for a few months because you're running some business. After that, the business got shut down. Then what you have to do? You have to destroy the server. So you're going to pay only for that period what you have used. You don't have to worry about destroy the server, and you're not buying the hardware. You're only leasing that period. And how many days, how many months, how many years you're using, that many, that many days only you're going to pay. So you don't have to worry about after I destroyed a machine, what I have to do with it. If it is on-prem, if you buy a server, if it is outdated server, you have to give it a scrap vendor, and you have to pay for that for scrapping the server. Because you see, nowadays data is growing. Old servers won't scale with the current data that we are receiving into the servers. So after a while, servers hardware will go outdated. You have to upgrade your hardware, software, and all that. So when you upgrade the infrastructure, you have to completely rebuy the entire infrastructure, because you have to buy the new sophisticated hardware to scale with your current data. So we'll talk about this point anyway, like how cloud is giving the ready-made solution there for us. So deployment model, so we do have public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Public cloud is anyone can actually have, whoever have a credit card or debit card, they can just subscribe and use it. It is an open book kind of, anybody can go and subscribe and create services in isolated networks and operate from there automatically. So it is not restricted to anyone in the world. Anyone who has internet connectivity, they can create the servers in the cloud. It is absolutely like open to everyone. Private cloud, in the sense, every on-prem data center is a cloud, private cloud. It is fully owned by single organization. They don't share with anyone. In fact, it is fully managed and owned by single organization. So those are called, our all on-prem data centers are private clouds only. You can cloud in the sense, you are not sitting on the just beside to the server. You are sitting somewhere and supporting it, and you are connecting over the internet doing the administration. Anything that you're going through the internet is a cloud, in fact. So but our on-prem data centers are cloud, private clouds. In fact, hybrid cloud is all, it is a common thing nowadays. So we have 40% on-prem, 60% in the cloud. So this is called hybrid cloud. So combination of it, you are using your own data center some portion, and you are using cloud also, some other business purpose, but you have the integration of these. In fact, you do what you do in the on-prem, it will reflect in the cloud. You do what you do in the cloud, it will reflect to on-prem. We're going to see that. I mean, I'm going to do that, replications, on-prem to cloud, cloud to cloud, cloud to on-prem. Whatever you do, it reflect. We have set technologies to do it. So we can refresh, we can do all sort of operations. Migrations is the main topic for us, because without migrations you cannot operate in the cloud first. That is one of the biggest topic we're going to cover in our course anyway. So hybrid benefit is a combination of public and private, because you need both the solutions to operate your business. Right. This is where we're going to spend good time. So we have three categories in the cloud purchasing models, in fact. Okay. Is there fourth model for government? Yes, government is something you don't talk about. It is not for people, in fact. It is hidden. You cannot even choose those data centers. Yes, that is there. You have government, even cloud providers are completely, they isolated some data centers for the government, maybe defense use, maybe some administrative use for the government. Those data centers we cannot choose and build our servers. In fact, they are dedicated for them. You cannot even see in the drop down, it is removed. It used to be shown in the drop down, but you cannot create in this data center because in this region, because it is dedicated to government project kind of. It used to show that message. Now the data centers are itself, they are not showing for us. In fact, there is something government reserved regions within the AWS, within the Azure also. They are not showing it to the public anymore. Even the region names also, it is removed anyway. Yeah, that used to be there, but yeah, we cannot. I mean, I'm not talking because it is not there anymore in the portal as an option. Client share tech on-site. Yeah, this is for a dedicated, this data center they are given to that government projects, and they are not showing us anymore. So yeah, we don't have to worry about that government side kind of thing. In fact, right. SaaS. See, we have three categories of cloud deployment models. SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. What exactly these are? Anything that comes as a ready to use software comes under SaaS category. Simply, I'm just giving you the blind explanation. You follow this, you understand which service fall under which category here. SaaS is something, anything that you wanted to, you're using as ready-made. That comes under SaaS. Like you don't have, nobody's authorizing your access. Nobody's, the best example for SaaS services are all Play Store apps. You can install WhatsApp, you can give your phone number, you get the OTP, just verify the OTP, then that's it. You can start using the WhatsApp. No one is actually approving it, no one is actually building something for you. It is a predefined, well designed, deployed application where you can just go and use it. Gmail, maybe GoToMeeting, what I'm giving you and you are all attended, it is also comes under SaaS service. So well deployed over the internet. It has been there since very long, like Hotmail, Gmail, everything comes under SaaS. If you if you just the best example for SaaS service is the Play Store apps. There is no one is coming to you and then authorizing you to use that service. In fact, they're readily available with all the prerequisites loaded and all the administration also predefined. It just, you have to come and subscribe and use it. That's it. No one has to guide you on that. So any service that is comes under fully ready made, you don't have to worry about anything at all. That comes under SaaS services. In fact, okay. The WhatsApp, maybe you talk about Facebook, maybe you can just go and create a service. It is a SaaS. In fact, Facebook is also SaaS, comes under SaaS. It's a cloud service. It acts like a SaaS because you can use your email address and then create and start using it. No one is authorizing you to do that. Instantly the account will get activated, you can start using it. PaaS is something, you have a service, but you have a scope to do the administration. So if it is a SQL Server, I can choose my purchasing models, I can choose my security, I can choose my performance tiers, I can implement my own security around what I wanted. I can do my best performance indexing model, like creating, dropping, and maintaining, rebuilding it. And you have a recoveries you have to do up to the point as you needed. So you are actually doing certain administration scope is there. It runs on top of the cloud without a VM, just a service. You create a service, the service will run without showing you the VM infrastructure. You just open that service, connect to that service, and start working on it. So, but most of the things are ready made here. Like you don't have to upgrade server, it directly comes with the latest available version of the SQL Server. You cannot choose a version. You don't have to take the backups are fully automated. You cannot see the backups, you cannot alter the backup schedules, but backups are ongoing continuously. If you wanted to recover, you can recover to the specific point when the bad things happen. DR you don't have to build in the PaaS model. It is a fully inbuilt DR. So if I create a database, just for the case of discussion, the PaaS model, the architecture of database in the cloud is you'll have two regions. If I create a database in one region, it will create two more copies in the background automatically. It takes one continuous backup, one backup in the local, it will sync continuously, one backup in the remote also, it will sync continuously. You're not asking this design, this is already done. You create a database, it will sync two more copies. Why it is so? PaaS is claiming nine nines, in fact, total nine nines means zero data loss. How do they claim that big number? Because they are minting two more copies for you for every byte you are sending to the cloud. And if any physical hardware corruption happens, other copy, the healthy copy will come and repair the repaired segment. Okay, the corrupted segment. So as a user, you don't realize that there is a corruption happened that got repaired by the background checksum process. You don't realize it because it is by default done by the cloud itself. What is SharePoint online as a PaaS solution? um, if you are doing some administration, any service that you talk about, you are doing some administration on top of a service, like you're changing the, like, maybe if I talk about database, I can change my purchasing models, I can lower, I can scale up, I can come down. Anything that you do, that kind of administration comes under as a PaaS. Okay, PaaS in the sense you have administration scope. SaaS, you don't have it. It is fully dynamic. It will scale. If it is a storage account, if I load any data in the blob, it will just accept. There is no limitation how much data I can put inside that service. That comes under SaaS, in fact, because I'm not telling that I'm going to keep this much data or that much data. It is fully dynamical. Just loading the data, it accepts the data. It is fully managed by on its own. So the services which get dynamically managed on their own, that comes under SaaS. The services which you do on your purpose, like you are changing the computing power, you are changing the securities around, you are changing your performance levels based on your indexing model, all that. So there are you can build your own read copies if you want. You have certain scope of administration that comes under PaaS model, in fact. Anyway, when I'm going to discuss in the course, any service I'm talking about, which category it will fall under and how it is falls under that category, I'm going to give you example, then start the service. You don't have to worry, you will understand for sure. If it is a SharePoint, if the SharePoint has certain administration like creating users, managing users and their permissions and within the database, yes, that comes under PaaS, in fact, because you are managing it a little, right? So where the management scope is given to you, though you don't have a VM, that comes under PaaS. But SaaS is not like that. It's straightforward, like it will dynamically expand and it dynamically takes everything. You just click the options, your options will be enabled and you start using it. No one is actually, someone has to do for you. It does automatically. But here you have to take your options, what you needed. You have to choose it and you have to configure it according to the need. Here the IAS model is something, anything that you create a VM and do something within the VM, that comes under infrastructure as a service. Okay, you are just deploying a VM, and if it is a cloud VM, on-prem, it is like on-prem VM only. So within the cloud VM, whatever you do, it none of the Microsoft business. You install SQL Server, you install App Server, you install any middleware server, they don't care about. They gave you the VM object, you have to do what you want to do with the object. So again, if the disk is corrupted in the IAS model, there is no protection. Okay, if the database is corrupted, there is no protection. You have to come with the always on, you have to come with your own database technologies, you have to take the continuous backups, you have to protect yourself, you have to go with the VM to VM replication. There are options given, you have to choose it to protect that VM object. But by default, single object VM object is not protected against the corruptions, in fact. So if you just look at the diagram wise, if it is on-prem data centers, you manage everything right from the building of your data center, networking, storage, servers, which like every single piece you manage yourself, and you are responsible for that. If it IaaS model, infrastructure as a service, you don't have to worry about networking. When in the cloud, you define only private network, only define. It will dynamically take the IPs allocation by cloud inbuilt DHCP service. You don't have to worry about. Public IPs are absolutely managed by the cloud providers only. You cannot ask this IP, I want it, I need this range. It is a fully automated IP assignment will be done by the cloud. Whatever the public IP is given to you, you have to lock with the static IP. There is a dynamic IP, static IP concept. You have to lock it with static, so it will be there with you forever. So your networking model is fully managed by the Microsoft. You don't have to worry about your storage. Like if I have 1 TB storage, I wanted to make 10 TB, just give the number and submit, save it. That's it. 1 TB will become 10 TB on the fly. On the fly, literally. In fact, it takes a minute. 1 TB to 10 TB. In the background, how many LANs are joined together to project that logical storage? It's none of your business. What you want, your storage. Just give a number, you'll get it. Servers virtualization, the technology that they have implemented is default. What you have to choose is a OS. What OS you wanted on top of the VM. It can be Unix OS, it can be Windows OS. It only supports two different types of operating systems. We're going to talk about both. I'm going to talk about Linux also. One class, in fact. So once the OS is built, you do whatever you want to. Middleware, database services, front-end services. You can manage your uptime of the VM. You can stop the VM, start the VM. You can manage the data on the VM, like taking the backup, restoring it. You can manage it yourself. In the past model, you cannot. You cannot take the. I mean, you can take the backup on a ad hoc basis, but you cannot schedule the backup. These already inbuilt schedules are available. You cannot alter them. You cannot even see them. Platform as a service, you manage the data. I mean, how big it is growing. Based on that, you have to extend the storage. It is not dynamic storage. You always have to go and extend it. You have to monitor with the inbuilt alerting system that we have in the cloud. And you cannot stop the server. You cannot stop a database. You cannot stop the server in the PaaS model. There is no stop start buttons given to you if it is a PaaS service. It is fully managed by the Microsoft. It will be available 24 by 7. Software as a service, see, every segment, every single piece is managed by the cloud. You don't have to worry about. It is fully managed and absolutely readily available feature. You just enable what you wanted and use it, right? So any questions from anyone on this one? Any questions from anyone want to ask here? Please let me know. I mean, I don't want to keep one-sided discussion. If you have a question, if you don't have question, it's okay. But if you have something in your mind, please come up. I'm okay to have a discussion. Anything that you have in your mind, fine. If you don't have question, I'll move to the next slide. So this is very important, guys. SaaS services, PaaS services, and IaaS services. Does someone have question? Go ahead.
Here, actually, you told something called RDM. What is RDM?
RDM
Here?
means physical drive. Physical drive. So I mean physical machine, physical drive attached to the server, which is required for the clustering, Windows clustering. In fact, SQL clustering. Always Sun does not need it, but SQL cluster definitely need a physical RDM to scale with IO, dedicated IO for that VM. It's not a shared, which mean okay, physical machine, physical drive.
It
It's
is
not
only for
VMV.
cluster. This
Clustering,
drive
yes,
is.
yes. Only for clustering, you need definitely need a RDM, physical RDM. Okay, so this is where we're going to spend good time here. The most of the the class agenda will start from here. What are the cloud benefits? Why people are crazy about cloud nowadays, and everybody are moving their infrastructure to cloud, right? So what are the driving factors we're going to talk about now? Cost. Cost anyway, cloud is not cheap if you don't follow the cost effective solutions. There are like high cost solutions and low cost solutions. You have to use according to the need to save the money. So I'm the part of the cost optimization, cloud optimization, cost optimization. I'm going to tell you all the tricks what I usually follow to save the money. In fact, to implement the SQL server, we going to talk about that in detail. We have a discussion on that side, but for now, so cloud computing is something you don't have to invest initially to build your own data center, hire the people who manage the that side of profiles, and you don't have to look after your infrastructure all the time. Monitoring you don't have to do. Cloud is doing for you. It is a ready-made solution. So cloud computing is eliminating the capital expense of the companies buying hardware, software, setting up and running on-site data centers. See, this is something cost effective because, like, example, if I'm building my own data center today, after 10 years, my data definitely will not be the same what I have right now, because data is growing like anything nowadays. So after 10 years, I have to definitely scrap my entire hardware. I have to buy a new hardware for sure, because the data what I'm getting is very vast, and day by day the hardwares are getting upgraded with the latest features to scale with the huge amount of data. I have to definitely upgrade after a few years. So every few years you have to rebuy the entire hardware and redeploy your data again, is a very costly. In fact, if it is a cloud, I'll use the server for the purpose of the period. If the data is going bigger, I need a new software version or new hardware I need to claim, I'll just create a new machine, migrate all my data to the new machine, and destroy the old one. I don't have to worry about. I'm not rebuying it. I'm paying what I used to pay in the previous case, because I again running only one server, not multiple there. So down the line, cloud is definitely cost effective solution. Maybe it is not giving you the greater benefit at the moment, but down the line it definitely cost effective. Again, if you use cost effective solution, it definitely 50% cheaper than the on-prem data center management. But you need to know what is cost effective, what is costing you more. That I'm going to highlight in the course anyway. So if it is a cloud solution, you don't have to maintain infrastructure, licenses, bandwidth, air conditioning, water. You don't have to maintain DR data centers manually again. It is fully inbuilt in the cloud. You can just choose it as needed to protect your servers, which are critical for you. Maybe if it is critical, you need immediate availability, go with always on. No, it is okay. You can wait for some time, right? RPO can be 8 hours, 7 hours. Then you take the continuous backups, and then if in case of worst case, you can restore from the backup. So depends on the business criticality, you can enable the features that is given by the cloud to protect your at the VM model. ACE model anyway, there is a full protection. You don't have to worry about your data at all. Data is always protected. Cost effective is definitely the cost effective because of the cloud. Here you don't have to worry about, if it is example, if it is on-prem, if I wanted a new infrastructure, like I'm getting a new project and I wanted new infrastructure, first there will be a procurement team will contact the IT. So what you wanted, so these people will tell the configurations, what they wanted for that new upcoming business. So they will go to the finance team, get the budget approval. They'll place the order with the vendor. We need these many servers with so and so configuration. They will give it to you. They will place the servers in the data center. Then they'll install the OS and network assignment. Then given it to the product guy, and then given it to the actual end user. So it takes quite a long journey to just deploy one server if it is not there. So if it is a cloud, you don't have to think about all this. Just one click away. It takes only 2 minutes to build any big server in the cloud. Only 2 minutes to 5 minutes is maximum window. Any big server, it can be small or big, it will be provisioned within 5 minutes maximum. So depressurized capacity planning. You don't have to do the pre-planned infrastructure you need to have. It is just on the go. Global scale. This is one of the biggest driving factor. See, as I discussed in the beginning, maintaining the data center is not easy thing. They have to look after many things. So I'm doing my business in US. I'm expanding my business to India, Australia, maybe Japan, maybe different country, as you may case, just for the case. I have the good, like as long as I was in US, my data centers are serving the purpose here. But when I expanded my business to different countries and continents, they fall under. I cannot keep all my data here and then do the business in other countries. You can do, but the latency will be there, and that cannot be acceptable by the businesses what they are running. And I cannot go to each, the country and then build my own data center. Again, this is a huge headache, right? So you manage your own data center here, but maintaining the cloud solutions everywhere where you are going out of your country, because everywhere the cloud solution available, you don't have to worry about what you are doing in the current data center. You take the advantage of the cloud ready-madely and use it, and then serve the purpose for the time being when the service is running. Maybe you see the businesses are actually run for a while and then shut down in some countries, right? So if they already invested a lot of money and business got shut down, that is a huge loss to the company anyway. Cloud is something you ran it for a while and you don't need that anymore. You can destroy it straight away. So that is not the case here. The case is about serving the data from the local regions. So if you have to go to every region and build your own data center, you have to hire more people. The more hire you do, the more data center you deploy, you're investing most of your like profits in the IT side itself. So that is not something people are not looking for. So ready-made solutions though. So anyone who is globalizing nowadays, they are definitely going to the cloud. They're exploring it, though the data is sensitive. Even they are not going to the cloud at the moment, but they're exploring the avenues, how the cloud can be used, how it can be safe. There, you would have seen in your companies, everywhere there is a cloud talk. Definitely cloud talk. Maybe they don't want at the moment, but they're looking for it. Okay, so any new businesses, any new data center they wanted to build, they are going to the cloud straightforward. So down the line, after 10 years, you don't see the on-prem data centers, maybe 5 to 6%, but 90 plus percentage, all our IT resources will run from the cloud only, everywhere. Down the line, within 10 years, I'm talking about. It's a big window, but still, it takes that while to everything adapt, like running from the cloud, in fact. But by the time, we had to be ready with the equipped with all the knowledge, right? So global scale is something ability to scale elastically and delivering the right amount of IT resources when it's needed from the right geographic location, in fact. So every business nowadays are absolutely globalized. When they are globalized, they cannot build data center in every country they are operating, in fact, as a new business. The cloud is giving the ready-made solution. Build services and you can seamlessly communicate to one to other. We're going to do this. I'm going to do this simulation in our class. I'm going to create the servers in US. I'm going to create the servers in India. They will communicate as if like a single network and one region network. We can integrate through the private networking, and you can encrypt the data what is traveling between them. You have all the options. You can isolate your own entire infrastructure within the cloud also. Cloud is safe in all directions as long as you are not breaking the rules. Okay, you have your own rule set to define what to talk, what not to talk to your server or infrastructure. If you're not creating the bad rules, your infrastructure absolutely safe in the cloud. We're going to simulate everything anyway. Performance. This will talk about servers, hardware's upgradation, right? So if like my software is lower version and the newer versions are any software for that matter, every 2 years or within 1 year, every software they are releasing their new versions with the new features. New versions means enhancements, right? All the time. So you have to take that enhancement to have the better customer experience. You cannot run older versions and you cannot just give the old features to the customer. They always look for the new things. So to sustain with the business and to get the performance levels with the lightweight higher version products, you have to keep upgrade. To upgrade the servers, you cannot do the in place because most of the products they don't have a rollback. Once you upgrade it, you have to run from there only. You cannot come back. In that cases, doing in place upgrades are absolutely risky to the businesses. So if it is on-prem, every time I upgrade my hardware softwares, I need to buy the new hardware to make this happen. Every time you're buying and then like scrapping the old infrastructure is not a cost effective to solution to any company, in fact. If it is a cloud, anything that I wanted to upgrade any new version within 2 years to 1 year or 3 years span, I can absolutely afford. Why? Because I can create parallel machine. Till the migration happens, you're going to pay for both the machines, but once the migration is completed, cutover is done, the applications are running fine and the target, and then you destroy the old one, you don't have to worry about. So down the line, cloud is a cost effective solution, and also you can scale with all the software versions that are releasing. You can just adapt to them immediately and easily with the with the cloud solution that you have it. That's why it is so. Benefits can corporate data center includes network latency for applications, easy of upgradations, hardwares to meet the business requirements. So performance is the biggest factor for any data, like service. You are giving everything is data now. Everything, absolutely every app, every that you are using as a software device is a data oriented. So you might see the software is just a user interface, but whatever the data you see within the apps or anywhere is coming from the servers only. So, and you need a performance. You definitely need a performance when the data is loading. If it is too slow, someone else is giving the similar service with the better speed, you definitely switch there. So competitors are there. You cannot compromise on the data performance, in fact, all the time. That's why the cloud is giving the ready-made solution. You can upgrade to latest version. You can give the data availability nearest to their operation center where they are operating. All the benefits, right? Speed of delivery. See, if it is on-prem, as I said, you if you want a new thing, you have to go through the big process like procurement and vendor has to give all that. Here you don't have to do anything. Any big server, we wanted speed of delivery of the services is very easy with the cloud, in fact, because you don't have to worry about. Cloud is already taking care of the capacity planning. Whatever you wanted, just choose what you wanted and then just submit the request. It does the job for you. So the provisioning of server or services, anything that you wanted, is minutes away. It does not take too long. So the deliveries can be easily done to the client. So if a client is giving you delivery of 10 days, you can meet in 5 days only because things are ready for you, right? You have to just develop what you have. If everything is ready, you can meet the requirement before the hands because the infrastructure is ready straight away. That is called speed of agility in provisioning of computing resources through self-service. On-demand features enable the flexibility and depressurized capacity planning. You don't have to do the capacity planning. In fact, in on-prem, if you manage your on-prem data centers, you have to keep the buffer server infrastructure because you don't know how much it is going to grow. Businesses keep running. You need to have enough computing power freely available and enough storage available because if the data is growing, performance degrading, you have to increase the configuration of the server on the fly. To do that, you need to have that configuration available. So they have to maintain free resources all the time so that they can scale when they want it, right? So you don't have to do that if it is a cloud. On the fly you can do. The cloud will do the capacity planning. How they do, how our machines will scale, that comes in the next few classes. We're going to talk about that. The cloud adoption, when we're doing it, we need to understand it in the background. Enhancing the productivity, again, see the productivity. See, when before cloud was not there, you should understand one thing, like if you are a well expert in one technology, you will have a like SME level skill set. You are absolutely so hot cake in the market. Like if you are well versed in one technology, that's enough. But nowadays one technology is not at all sufficient. People are looking for multi technology. People who really knows multiple technology has a good value in the market. Why? This adoption, this change came after the cloud implementation only, because cloud is making things ready made. You don't have to do everything that you do in the on-prem. Certain things are automated, right? Especially infrastructure side, Windows people, networking administrators, backup team, and hypervisor team, and these teams, storage team, these five teams are absolutely under hit. I mean, their profiles will go away. I mean, if they need on-prem 10 people, in the cloud 2 people enough, 2 or 3 is maximum. So 70% of the resources, they don't need it. They can save the money there also, in fact. Okay. So cloud is giving ready-made solutions with all the inbuilt support model. They do manage for you entirely. So speed matters, enhancing the productivity, performance matters, and all that, right? So productivity of the employees also actually became, nowadays, like companies are looking for multi-versatile people because one guy can support multiple technologies. That's why the productivity of the employee is more than one person who is supporting one technology, right? Reliability is a very big word. In fact, it talks about data recovery possibilities. And what if, like someone can hack my servers? No one can hack. The protection, 7 layered security model it follows. So the data protection is always be given by the cloud. I'm going to show you, I mean, how it will be protected. No one can connect your service by default. You allow someone to connect. So when you are allowing the bad traffic, then they can hack and they can take your data. It's in your hand. It is a collaborative model. Like it is a like a dual responsibility model. I'm giving all the security. You create your own security as per the need. Don't create the bad rules to talk to your data in the cloud. In fact, reliability talks about two things. Data recovery is absolutely possible. In the past model, as I discussed, if I create a one database, it maintains two copies by design, and it takes a continuous backups, weekly, full, daily differential, every 5 to 10 minutes log backup automatically. It will sync one more copy. If this backup corrupted, you will have this copy, and one more copy sync to remote region. Entire data center is down, still you can recover this backup, but this backup is 1 hour behind the live all the time. So you lose 1 hour data if your primary data center, the region, entire region is down for some reason. I never seen in the last 7 years, I'm close to 7 years I'm working on the cloud. I never seen any data center or region is down, and then we went out of data and then we recovered from the remote backup copies. I never seen, but it is there. Maybe if it can happen because of the wars, right? War can destroy anything on the just with one bomb. So I'm just saying, I'm just giving an example. In that case, you have a data in other data center where you can recover. So this level of data protection is actually given by the cloud. Data recovery is 100% possible. If it is a VM model, they're given sort of separate technologies to protect the VM also. By default, there is no protection if it is corrupted. Disk is corrupted, database is corrupted, anything is corrupted, there is no protection, but you have to enable the protection, what they have given at the extra cost. So when you enable it, when that server is critical for the business, in fact, right? It is a choice, but your data is absolutely protected in terms of security, like networking. No one can hack your servers, and your data recovery is absolutely possible in the cloud. So that is what is absolutely maintained by the cloud. You don't have to worry about. Mainly banking sector are actually resisting not to come to the cloud. They'll also soon come, because when WannaCry, the the malware was attacked the market, the cloud absolutely not attacked by anyone, because the security model they have in the cloud, in fact. Right. So these are the biggest selling points for cloud, guys. Cost that you can save instantly by going to the cloud, because you don't have to manage the infrastructure, too many technicians, and you don't have to monitor with many tools. Your infrastructure, the cloud has a inbuilt monitoring capabilities. How do we monitor? We're going to see that. And global scale, as you grow your business to different countries, you cannot afford to maintain your own data centers. You can take the cloud as a ready-made solution and operate the data on that local like countries or regions, and provide the better performance because you're operating near to the business operation models. Performance upgrading it, like your software hardware time to time is definitely required. In that case, you definitely need to upgrade to the new versions to get the new version features to match the market requirement model. Speed of deliveries is very important, and like productivity is important, and reliabilities of your data, recoverability and safety of your data is both are assured. So these are all biggest selling points for the cloud to migrate, in fact. Okay, so you are migrating to cloud, but which one is again the question. If you are the running the Microsoft product, then ultimately Azure is a solution for you, because if it is a SQL server, so you will save a lot of money with Azure than AWS. So Azure is 5 times less than AWS. If you look at, they are absolutely claiming on their official website. So organization all over the world organize Microsoft Azure over AWS Web Services as most trusted. Where it is, here it is. AWS is up to 5 times more expensive than Azure. 5 times. Understand? So if you are going with the Windows Server, the same Windows Server, if you spin off in the AWS, you're going to pay 5 times higher than Azure. So why someone need definitely go to the AWS? They'll come to the Azure only. They can give the hybrid benefits. They can give the deeper discounts because the cloud is theirs, and the software is what they are giving there, so they can give you deeper discounts. But third party guy cannot give it, because he has to also n is margins, right? He should n is margins, so he'll give you at premium cost only, because he's running some software which are owned by someone. He has to pay to the vendor, and the margins, whatever he get it, that is a profit for him, so he'll definitely need to look for that. So what I mean here is, if you are running any Microsoft product, you definitely opt for the Azure cloud only first, because they give a deeper discount, up to 50% discount for a hybrid benefit. You are the Windows software client already, use the same licensing in the cloud what you're using in the on-prem, you will get 49%, up to 49, not flat 49, up to 49. We're going to see that different servers will give you different discounts. We will see that when I'm creating it, I'll show it. How do you get the hybrid benefit, and how does the cost of the VM is coming down, by what percent? It is random anyway, based on the higher the cost, the higher the discount you'll get it. Lower the cost, lesser the discount you'll get it. We'll see that. We're going to see that in detail. So these are the three leaders at the moment. Azure, AWS are the most leading cloud technologies as of now. Google is just crawling at the moment. It is trying to catch with them, but it is far behind in terms of implementation and revenue at the moment. They are building infrastructure, but they are not getting clients as AWS and Azure. Especially Azure is the leader at the moment in terms of infrastructure. Revenue-wise, still AWS is a leader. Still, because AWS started in 2008, way too ago. I mean, 2008, 2006 they started, but they started good market from 2008. Azure started in 2010, but they got a good market from 2014. So 2008 to 2014, see the difference. Total 6 years, but still Azure has a better computing power than AWS right now. And this is holding up to 42%. This is holding up to 36 to 37%. Very close. Maybe 1 or 2 years it will surpass the in terms of revenue also over the AWS Azure. The Azure implementation graph is very high compared to deployments in the market than AWS. AWS is costing you more than Azure in certain cases, but Azure is costing you more than AWS in certain cases. Those are also there. If it is Azure is not owning certain software, third-party softwares, then they'll also charge you more. But Microsoft has all the software that you a business need to run, so they're the gaining point. AWS, they don't have their own softwares. It is a cloud and they have their own software. That is a big selling point. Right. So why anyone go with a Microsoft? Basically, any Microsoft product that is built in the market is absolutely user friendly. Anybody can just click and it does a job. Almost every software they build, you can go with the clicks only. AWS is not like that. I work with both the clouds. If you have to migrate from on-prem to cloud, okay, there should be third-party tools should be involved from migrating cloud to on-prem VM to cloud VM. If you wanted to migrate SQL data through AWS, you have to have third-party software. Must. In Azure, you don't have to. Just take the backup and directly restore into the VM straightforward using the keys. But AWS does not allow you. You need a middleware software, or you have a something called storage compute storage gateway, which is also a paid service to read the data from S3 bucket to load into VM. Either you need a third-party software or you need some medium to read the data. It is not direct. So there are certain complexities created around AWS compared to Azure. Azure is straightforward and most of the administrative activities. No, it is not. It is a beat around the bush kind of. There are certain cases. You have to go through certain other services to reach that target. We will see. I mean, I'm not going to touch about AWS, but this is entirely purely Azure. So, but compared to administrative wise, Microsoft products are user friendly. That's what I wanted to say. Easy to learn and manage. So when the technology is growing, the market is growing, you need more people to support also. It's not just that I deployed and it is easy, it is less, but I don't have people to support, then I don't go for the product. So Microsoft products are simple to learn. So the simple to learn means more people can learn and then support, right? That is also another big selling point for the Microsoft. Rapid growth in the cloud computing. If you compare on the infrastructure, what Azure has, what AWS has, Azure has went too far, in fact, in terms of infrastructure. They have more regions, more countries right now than AWS compared to in terms of infrastructure. More regions and data centers than any other cloud competitor at the moment. Azure has definitely they'll be the leaders in the future also because they are getting the rapid business. They are building the equivalent infrastructure also as they are getting the more countries they're covering where there is no coverage by the AWS. Cost effective to compared to other competitors. These people can be cost effective because most of the softwares for running any business they have it. Microsoft have it. It's their own product, so they can give a deeper discounts. That way it will be cost effective. But in certain cases, Azure is most costly than the AWS because the services which are Azure is giving is not owned by them, someone else's, third parties. Maybe certain software is developed by AWS, right? So like AWS Aurora, right? Like you have Postgres and MySQL, they developed it. It's open source. They developed it. They will give you the definitely cheaper cost, where Microsoft cannot give that product cheaper cost because they did not have that capabilities. AWS Aurora. which is supports Postgres and MySQL. In fact, they developed their own engine, and it is giving it the lowest cost possible because they developed it. The same way, whoever have their own product, they can give you at the lower cost. That's usual tendency. Good enough. So after this course, what are the certifications you can take? In fact, as a DBA, the most of the part what we're going to cover is DP 300, designing and implementing cloud data platform solution. This you can take it. And infrastructure administration, this also you can take it. These are all old codes. These are all old codes for the same, and this is the latest code what you need to take. So infrastructure administration also, see, SQL is running on the platform. What platform it is running? Underlying platform can be network, storage, VM. You need all these integrations to run the product. So first we'll go through that areas. In fact, VM side, networking side, storage side, understand all the pieces. Then I'll start the product. When I start the product, I'm going to recall all these discussions we have done in the infrastructure side. So that infrastructure, again, 50% of the infrastructure will be covered. 10 classes will take on the infrastructure side. When I start the product, all these discussions are required to understand the product again, because product we will create in one region to other region, how they communicate in terms of network. How do we open the communication? If it is just open the communication, how do you block the communications? So how do you exchange the data if you wanted to? How you migrate inter-regions, like different regions, data migrations through blob storage, through certain migration tools when the files are too big to transfer the data from one region to other region. There are many things we're going to cover towards infrastructure also, because it is required to manage the product. Okay. So then we have divided this course into 10 modules actually. Introduction to Azure is just what we had right now. We're going to talk about how do you create a free account, and then how you manage your free account with a minimal bill. In fact, if I'm using entire month, I'm going to give you tricks. In fact, you practice every day 3 to 4 hours. The bill will not go beyond $10 for US. Bill will not go beyond 3 to 400 for Indians. I'm going to tell you the tricks how you can manage your subscription with a lesser bill. So you just follow me. You definitely not will get the bill, but you have to follow me without fail. Implementing and managing, this is very important. So why we need to know VM implementation? Because you need to know that how you can optimize the VM for the product. SQL is running, it need to be designed, the VM need to be designed to support better for the product. So what are the features we need to claim on the VM side to make the SQL server work better within the VM? There are certain features you need to know, you need to understand them. If the VM object absolutely crashed or deleted, how you can recover the entire VM? Through the backups or through the the VMDK disks? We're going to do all the workshops, guys. It is not what is what. I'm not going to focus on what is what. What is what you can get everywhere. Almost every class, I'll do things what we do in the real time. I'll compare it, this is what happened, this is what we have done. This is, I'm going to create the situation, I'm going to show you, I'm going to fix. Most of the time, all the classes, 70% of the class are fully practical oriented. I don't focus on the theory side at all, because theory you can get it anywhere. So managing the VMs, this will be 4 classes, and 4 classes, whatever I'm going to discuss, how we can make the product better compatible on the VM side. What are the features we need to enable it? And for SQL automation, I'll build a VM template. The VM template will be absolutely will have all the things that you need for the SQL. You create a VM from that template, it will get all the features that you wanted, all the tools you wanted, all the software you wanted automatically. So how we can make our job easy with the cloud VMs, that also we're going to talk about. How we can migrate the TBs of data within the VMs with a better solutions. We're going to talk about that. Networking, again, it's very important. App services, load balancer, this will be covered as part of the always on group. But before that, how the load balancers work, internal, external, geographic load balancers, and how you can control the traffic what you wanted to. And if your VM is not talking to another VM, or your SQL server is not connecting to other SQL server within the cloud, how we can verify why it is not talking, what is blocking? So we're going to talk about that in this module. The major module is for this 8th module. In fact, storage, anyway, we need it for the migrations. Any bigger migrations you do, you have to definitely go through the storage only. So how we're going to do that? The integration of storage account with on-prem, you can take the on-prem all your SQL Server backups into cloud straight away. We can implement that if you wanted to protect your backups without corruption. If you're taking the data, anything into blob or anything into cloud service as a PaaS service, your data is absolutely protected. So in the cloud, how we can take the SQL Server backup within the cloud VMs, how we can recover it, and what are the easiest ways we have it. So we going to spend very good time on the everything. What I'm going to discuss is in the course, in the 35 days course, is absolutely product related. Okay, it's not going to bounce you. You just need to correlate everything what I'm going to discuss, because this is required knowledge what I kept in the course. So this is what is a major module for us. So if you go to the, I gave this course content to all of you already. So if you go to 8th module, this is where we're going to spend very good time. These are the things you're going to keep in your resume. Every point will be justified in detail. These are all points will come to your resume. Okay, these are all points. So we're going to touch every point here in detail. In fact, this is a major module to understand. When it comes to the automation side, we're going to cover 5 different types of automation: PowerShell automation, Logic App automation, Elastic Agent Job automation, Runbook automation, using the on-prem agent, how we can leverage our on-prem agent to automate in the cloud. That different types of automations we're going to talk about. And Active Directory. So Azure Active Directory is something, certain services like all PaaS services cannot be integrated with on-prem. It will only be integrated with Azure AD. So how we can create the accounts, how we can migrate the on-prem accounts to cloud, and what kind of privileges our account need to have to manage the cloud SQL DBA profile. So all identity management will be discussed in separate discussions. So once we finish the course, I'll talk about what kind of privilege you need to have it, and where, what level you need to have to manage SQL DBA profile in the cloud. So all will be discussed in detail. Especially our major focus will go towards cost optimization and migrations and performance, keeping the performance intact, and recoveries and security. But there are other things also, a lot of things are there in the course if you look at, but most preferable points and important points are these, in fact, what I said, right? So this is all about the demo, guys. Any questions from any one of you, please come up. We can talk about your questions, in fact, right?
I had a question.
This is, yeah, please go ahead.
So those certifications that you showed, right? This course covers topics from all those certifications.
Not all here. AG 104 60 to 70% will be covered, and DP 300 will be covered up to 90%. These two certifications you can take it after the course, but this one is for the development guys, like different people, like architect role, and these are old codes anyway. So there are many profiles you have in the cloud, and each profile has its own related certification. Anyway, one course will not cover all the certifications, right?
Okay, got it.
Ravinder, Vinay here.
Yeah, Vinay.
So coming to the costing, what could be the costing level for the pass? Uh,
you have
because where
you
it is
have
it is providing the mm,
It has the two things you have. You can buy the core, you can buy the CPU. Cores means you have a CPU and on an average 70 cores will come, you will get it. So you can buy only 10 cores out of it. 10 threads, in fact, not cores. 10 threads, thread-based licensing model, C-based, V-core based licensing model. So where which will fit according to the situation, you have to choose it. So the thread based purchasing model will save you more than vcore based, but when the thread based will be used, when vcore will be used, you have to know that trade off. So that I'll explain in the discussions anyway, how you can save the cost. So I'm monitoring it. There is a db pools, in fact elastic pools. We can farm the pool, and then we can save even more money. So that's where I'm going to touch point, I'll touch base all these points, how we can save the money in the cloud database implementation, the PaaS model especially. VM model anyway, you'll go with the CPUs. In the PaaS model, you
yep.
have a lot of scope to save, and you if you don't know the process how you can save, cloud is not cheap. It is very costly. But I'm going to talk about that, which solutions you have to use for better saving. That's a major
Okay,
agenda.
got it. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? Yeah, anything that you want to ask, please come up. So it's not a one-sided discussion, guys. I always encourage you to ask question if you have it. So better to get it clarified, because if you have carry a question, you'll carry forever, right? So I'm here. I have a lot of experience anyway in the cloud. I'm not claiming 100%, but I'm working since very long, so I know most of the services and functionality of it. So I'll try to I'll try my best to answer your question if you have any.
I have one more question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So like you're a DBA, right? I'm a DBA also. Like some of us might be DBAs. Like do you see where we can transition into the crowd, like different titles and stuff like that? Do you see that happening in the field?
See, if you are a DBA, you'll manage mostly database related services. If you wanted to move out of this, it is up to your interest again. You need to know that, the cloud also has equivalent services that you have in the on-prem. So SSIS and all that, CI/CD pipelines and ADFs and, data factories, all that you need to learn if you want, if you are from the, MSBA profile. For a SQL DBA profile, we are learning what we are. So if you wanted to move to the different services you are interested, maybe that is up to the interest, but yes, cloud has equivalent services that you have in the on-prem.
Okay, thank you.
As long as you're interested to learn new things, yeah, cloud has everything that you have in the on-prem now, equivalent services. So we can go that profile also if we have that, already we are carrying certain experience towards those. You can make it easily in the cloud. If not, you have to learn that from the scratch again.
So what all, like, since I don't know anything regarding on-prem, I need to learn a few things, no, before going.
Yes, that is what I said, Archana, I guess, when we connected. And few things like, cloud is ready-made. Service is something you create a service and use it. But in the background, there's an architecture for that service. The architectures and all will not be covered here. It is a service, you create it, you connect it, you create the mess around, you can fix it. But we are not going to go towards the architecture side. So that's I used to take on-prem. I have the videos there. People can purchase to explore the on-prem also in detail. It covers 45 hours of training, and I'll give it a cheaper cost anyway. It is less cost only compared to the same content. People are training in the market for, like for Indians itself 15 to 18,000, and for US guys it will be costing you $500 equivalent to that same content what I have covered up. That's up to you. I mean, if you're really interested that side, we can go for side. So I have some people who in the class which where I don't know them. Amisha, I don't know. Um, just for the Raju, I don't know. Please call me on this number or message me if you joined directly. This is my number. Just message me. Yeah, any questions regarding our discussion, today's discussion? I'll stop the video and then we'll talk about it.
In
Ravinder, I have a question. This is Mekla, by the way. So for on-prem to monitor the performance, we not only have native tools that are provided by Microsoft, right? There's scripts to manage CPUs and monitor CPUs and buffers and memory and all the good stuff. But then there are third-party tools, right? Redgate or Idera that work beautifully, or SolarWinds, right? They work beautifully to manage the performance. Now, when we come to Azure, I know that there are like Idera and Redgate that are compatible with Azure to monitor the performance, but are there any native tools
Yes.
provided by Microsoft? Are we going to learn those native tools for Azure?
We have certain, but not up to the level of the third-party tools. In fact, it can give you the OS level specifications as an alerting system. But if you have the database within the VM, you don't have any native system which can track the database, metrics and give you an alert. If it is a pass model, we have the metrics anyway. You can monitor deadlocks, you can monitor your CPU, you can monitor memory, you can monitor all the metrics that are ready made. You can just enable and assign the email address to that metric. It will fire an alert to you. Then the
Okay.
pass model has inbuilt system which can closely can be matched but not entirely. Like these on-prem tools can track your execution plans also. You can see that history of usage and everything. Here you cannot see the history. In fact, you can see the usage pattern but not the history of queries what were executed. So there are missing pieces there. It can cover up to 50% but not 100%, the tools which are native.
So if it's a high trafficked environment, right? OLAP, let's say, you are recommending that we use a third-party tool to monitor the performance and not even mess with the Azure native tools that are provided for performance.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hearing.
we are using in the cloud Sentry, SQL Sentry. We are using it to monitor our
Okay.
cloud environment. So it is a third-party on-prem tool itself. So where it gives more analytical, power to you, like understand what queries are running bad and
Correct.
when the load was came, and
Correct.
looking at the historical data and then rectifying it. There you definitely have to go to third-party tool. That no inbuilt tool can do the equivalent job in the cloud.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, welcome. So any other question?
The third-party tools also you will be covering here.
No, no, no. That's not a third. It's this it's third party. There are many tools we cannot cover here.
Is there
Inbuilt.
any,
What is there inside the cloud that I'm going to cover? How what level we can monitor that I'm going to cover?
when we will use that third-party tool?
Sorry.
When we will be using that tool?
When we wanted a granular, like tracking, like every query level, every performance. You wanted to see the execution plans where the bad things are going on. You want to troubleshoot very in detail of it. Then you have to go to third party.
Okay.
At
So
metric
Ravindra,
level, yeah. Go ahead.
sorry, this is Mekla again. I also wanted to make sure from a security standpoint, are you going to also cover TDE? Because in my experience, managing TDE on Azure is a bit challenging because the private keys are like certificates and all this craziness that goes on. So, and it does get complex. So will you be
Right, right.
covering that as well?
It is inbuilt, right? So you're using your managed certificates, customer managed certificates.
Oh,
The cloud has inbuilt TD enabled in the past model. If it is a VM model, it is absolutely like on-prem only. You don't have to deploy your certificate in the cloud to encrypt your database. By default, it is encrypted. Every past database. We're going to talk about that. Yes, I'm going to
okay.
show that how the
So I'm
encryption.
probably Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
probably thinking of SQL on Azure versus Azure SQL. That's probably what it is.
yeah. Right. We're going to talk about that. Don't worry. I have a good experience that
Okay,
side.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ravinder, are you going to talk about performance tuning enhancement compared to on-premise to
Inbuilt, only inbuilt. See, performance is a ocean. In fact, it is separate course altogether. I'm going to cover. I'm going to take it. So what we have in the cloud as a ready-made solution to make your database better in terms of performance. When do we enable certain features? When do we don't enable it? It has the pros and cons. To take the advantage of the performance inbuilt tuning, the inbuilt tuning has a like how it can be done, the architectures of it, how it will work. We're going to talk about that side, but I'm not going to talk about going through the execution plans and all that. That is something is
okay,
separate course for us. But what we have in the cloud as a ready-made solution to track the performance and to keep the database, to have a better performance using the inbuilt features, that I'm going to explain. What we have in the cloud, I'm definitely going to cover. But out of that,
okay,
you have to do many things manually also. That manual part is again is a very big thing. In fact, it's not just one point. Performance tuning is
oh,
comes in many ways. In fact, so
yes,
that is
yes, yeah,
a separate course altogether. So this is mostly about cloud. What we have in the cloud, what we're going to learn, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Any other question before I stop the video?